Nice.
Alrighty, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here. This time we have Phase Scented, Stretch, and Commandment. They're based up right here, and we're going to talk about why they picked this location. You know, why did Scented, and why do they all decide to base up right here and not in some of the other spots? So they land lazy. So early on, they went over. I mean, if you're unconned at your POI, you should be able to loot it and know where all the chests are, and probably be out within like what, depending on the POI, maybe like at max a minute 30, minute 45. If you're really quick, you might even be able to push like a minute 15, 2 minutes at the latest. But I mean, you should be able to have a path everyone has to hit and be out pretty quickly. So let's think about why Scented decided for them to pee right there. I think this is a really good spot, and it's kind of breaks apart because a lot of people would say that it's best to base up on edge hot side, like borderline dead side, when you're in a situation like that. Like if we split down the middle, I mean, here we have hot side and dead side, just because I mean, just look at it. There's way more people that have to rotate out over here, and everyone that's over here are probably people that landed over there, or just rotated in from an easy spot like that or something along the lines of that. So we have, here they are right there. There's another team nearby, which is fine. I mean, that doesn't matter. They didn't decide to go on the bridge. They left the bridge there. Instead, they're just going next to the bridge. And I think it's really smart because if they went right here, then they pretty much can't get any surge on their back right there. Just because it is a mountain, and people are going to see them coming and be like, okay, let's just bail out. And they might be able to shoot at them for a bit, but then they can dip down and hide under the hill. And they can't really even open from this point of view because all these teams on the UFO can spray and shoot at them, maybe even get them lobby focused. So going right on the edge wouldn't have been a good idea. And going on the other side over here, you kind of limit yourself and kind of force yourself to have to build up. And you don't really want to do that. Again, you can't really look for surge on this side if you built right here. Just because the bridge is kind of in the way, so you're gonna have to shoot through the bridge, and some other team might try to build up there or something like that. But they went pretty high up right here. I can't show the in game yet. They go pretty high up, and they're all kind of right now. They're all looking up at UFO, but let's think about what they have. They can basically view all 360 degrees. They can look at all directions, which is really important because if we compare, let's say this guy, or this guy's a great example. He can't really look behind him just because I mean this is all slipstream, so people can just hop in the slipstream and be out. You won't get consistent surge off of that, and it is dead side as well. So right here is a great position because Corny is such an open, land that if people start driving through it, you can almost pretty much see them from anywhere at this location, as well as, if people come over here, because we have another team over here, then they're going to force people on the outside like this, because no one wants to cross the river. So they'll loop around or try to cut through like this to find, a good position somewhere in zone. And they're able to get tags off that on everyone that's rotating. I mean, it's still pretty early. We have a minute 45 till zone closes. Still tons of teams everywhere. And we have a team here, Sade Hill. There's no one actually on Billboard, which is a little weird, but that's fine. We have a gas station team. We have UFO over here and over here, and these are really the teams that are already based up, looking for surge. I mean, there's a shit ton of stone here, and they're probably on like that. So really, the idea isn't just for this zone either. They probably won't get most of their surge actually in the first zone right now. The idea is that when zone closes on the next time, is that they're already in like a very good position. If zone closes like this, then everybody has to rotate in. Or even if it does something, where it pulls like this. Now, obviously, that's an awful second zone, but they're on the edge. That's unreal how good that is for surge, because no one's going to want to go up this mountain, and no one's going to want to go under the bridge or something like that. So their tags force everyone on the outside, kind of like a funnel. So I'll be back right after this with second zone and see if they decide to stay where they are and why their position makes them win the first game of finals for the first qualifier. So we are back with game 2 here. This is where they decided to base up on. They were right here. And it's interesting because if they stayed here, they would 100% be set on surge, because everyone's going to be entering kind of like this. It's very, very sketchy for them to try to enter by the bridge over here, just because, you already have two teams set up, as well as other teams that are coming in on the way. So they're probably, most of them are going to try to enter from somewhere over here, especially that there is really only, two teams here, and this team still has to rotate in. And it's already, there's already 3 teams right there, so that's pretty crazy. So if they stayed there, that would have been another team, and the downside of staying there, you know, you would have your surge, but a lot of these teams here might not have their surge. So that might lead to someone into cycle into your box. They really need 70 surge. There's 90 people left, 20 people need to die, and they really need 70 surge, so they're going to dive your box. So you really don't want to be on too hot side, because then you'll, okay, we need surge, we're going to die, let's just jump in this box, see what happens, and that will end up being your team. You might get griefed, or you might kill them all and then get lobbied or something like that. They drive under the bridge, they're getting sprayed by the UFO teams up here. They stop right there, and they farm up their stone, because there's a shit ton of stone here. They wait a second until they hear these teams shooting, and then they drive right here. And this is a good position. You know, if everyone's already based up, it wouldn't be that best for Surge, because the idea is that this is going to be a clusterfuck right here, and they know that. So they want to get a good position on the for the hot side of zone, so they can get good Surge tags. Because when people start diving those boxes and everything, like I mentioned earlier, they want to be set up already, being able to get little tags on them. They don't need kills; they just need to, you know, get a crack or whatever, get some Surge and be good to go. Because look at all these teams that still have to rotate in. I mean, I don't know what the fuck, these guys are getting griefs over here. There's a second before zone starts closing. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 teams, maybe 10 if that's another team there. I think 9, 10, 11. 11 teams here, 2 up top, and then, you know, a fair amount of teams already set up over here. So they're coming in right here, and Stretch, Scented, and Commandment are in a perfect position to capitalize on the fact that all these teams still have to rotate in, and that's, you know, how you can get your surge. And, you know, it kind of goes against what I said last little section, because they can't get any surge back here. But that doesn't really matter, because most of the surge is coming in right here. Alrighty, welcome back. As literally exactly what I mentioned. Look at this. We have all these teams already set up. Zones closing. These guys are griefing each other. These guys are griefing each other. And I mean, these teams over here have a free rotate, unless they don't have surge, and then they're going to probably have to fight or tag a lot. One of these teams rotating in, and look where they are. Mint position here, like absolutely unreal. Look at all this clusterfuck here, and we have these guys griefing, so they're going to probably rotate under the bridge, and we have these guys shooting over here, so they can get so much surge just by shooting at this fucking clusterfuck of players. And the thing that makes this crazy is that Scented predicted this, or not predicted, but is just a crazy IGL that he bases up here and makes the call out to go over here. I'm guessing it's Scented IGL. I mean, can Stretch IGL? I think it is Scented. Yeah, Scented is an IGL. Someone makes the call out to base up right here, so they can focus back on all these clusters of players, and that's like, you know, where you can't really teach that, because it's kind of, we can recognize that they did that, but in the moment you're going to have to, you know, think about how the zone is set up, where hot side and dead side is, and where, you know, the choke point is going to be, and then find a position where you can capitalize on that choke point. And that's, you know, kind of a big difference between the pros and, you know, the non-pro IGLs. And that's just a great example to get surge, get free kills. And then you know that most people are coming out of over here might be completely shambles. If zone pulls more towards the mountain like this, the next zone, or whatever it might happen, then you know that everyone over here is going to be end up padding, more free surge. You're just absolutely chilling. Alrighty, now let's look at the fourth zone that is just pulled and look at the perfect position they're in. Right here again, there's only one other team in zone. Everyone else has to rotate in. And we know that this is going to be the hot side at both. And if you notice, you know, okay, where are there the least amount of players over here? And it's that funnel that I was talking about at the beginning. When Scented was spaced up here, and there was another team over there, and there's also a team right here, it creates this like funnel at the bridge, and everyone's going to want to go around it. And by doing that, they create the two hot sides over here. Now, obviously, if you split it down the middle, hot side's going to be like what, like this. But if you look at the hot side of this part here, it's literally just this. And they know that, you know, these teams are going to probably end up padding. So there's pretty free surge. They can't really look over here because it is a mountain, and, you know, they're going to be visible for a lot shorter than right over here. But they know there was a lot of fighting based on the last zone over here. So they know that at least one of these teams gotta have a pad. So let's say red here has a pad. That means light blue and tan and pink and I don't know, another light blue. They're probably all going to try to reuse that pad. Or what might end up happening is pink might end up using their own pad. These three teams pad in, and then this team tries to yoink the pad at the last second. But either way, most teams are going to be padded in this zone. And that gives Scented, Commandment, and Stretch a free, tags, beaming them out of the sky, whatever. It's easy surge because they're all padded, and there's no one else can shoot you. Scented knows there's a team over here somewhere. Doesn't really matter. They're going to rotate in, probably set up in a good position. This team's chilling too. They can tag everyone over here as well because most of these people are going to be padded in. These guys are going to be padded in. I mean, I think the slipstream's still enabled. I don't know when they disable actually. So most teams have a pretty good easily rotate. These guys have to pad because they're 100% going to be held. They're probably going to try to pad in as well, or pepper or something like that, or try to run in, make it to this mountain, hug the edge, and enter like that. Or they could try to go around, but they might get, annihilated because this team's going to be in as well, and something like that might happen. But let's just, go back to Scented, Commandment, and Stretch here. Keep on wanting to say edgy, but that's not it anymore. And, the one thing that they didn't really do right here, but it doesn't really matter because they already have a good amount of surge, is that they aren't ready to tag teams that are coming in as soon as zone closes. Scented just came back. He was farming mini junk over here for a bit because he knows majority of the teams are over here, and he knew there was only one team on this side. So he goes over there and farms it. I imagine one of them are probably watching him while he farms it. Okay, people are coming. You should probably dip back out, and there's crash pads he can hit, and cubes around he can take. But they aren't ready enough early enough, so they're missing out on free tags on this brown team right here. And it's really smart what the brown team is doing because they're banking on the fact that the team that's in isn't ready yet to be tagging people. So they're padding as soon as zone just closes, they get the pad ready and they launch out. That's because if they pad late, then this team is going to be ready to go. And I mean, this team can't really tag them, but all these teams that go in are going to be somewhere over here, and they can get absolutely fried in the air. So on fourth zone, if you're far away, you can pad early, depending on where everyone else is based up in zone. I mean, the IGL should already be looking and be like, okay, I only see really like one team like in the center of the map here. So if it pulls there, then we're going to pad it right away. And that should be kind of the game plan. So this is the final little breakdown here of how Scented, Commandment, and Stretch get their surge in absolute fucking stackers. I mean, there's like 50 people left right now, or maybe even like more than that, and movement's just about to start. So if you remember, they come from Lazy and they base up like right here on the edge of here, and there was another team based up near them. I'm just say over here, and there's another team over here. So no one's going to really want to rotate in between the bridge because there was a team based up right here. No one's going to want to go under the bridge, even though under the bridge wouldn't even be that bad, but you won't get any surge. So if you're good on surge, you might be able to go for under the bridge, but you're going to get sprayed here and here because, you have teams set up like here, and they're going to spray at you, or teams all the way on top of the UFO and stuff like that. So what ends up happening is that most of the teams are forced into this mess here that we can see. And because they're forced here, as soon as second zone, I think, pulled, as soon as second zone pulled, they got in their car and they dipped out. They based up here, so right there, just for a second, because they were getting sprayed from the mountain, waited a bit until they started shooting somebody else, and then drove and sat here. And they sat here for, second, third, fourth zone, because they pulled it every time. And you can see what I mean here. Here's the hill. They can't really look behind them over here, but they can look at anybody above them right here. And that's good because if we think about this team right here, they're going to want to do the same thing that Scented and them are doing and look at the surge down here. But because Scented is below them, Scented and his team is able to kind of look up and maybe get some cheeky tags. That ends up happening. They end up cracking smack like 3 or 4 times because they can get a really, really cheeky little angle from looking below and shoot up at them while they're trying to get surge on everyone that's over here. So it's a good position to go under. I don't know if they were planning that, but that is just, how it happened. And sure, that means that, they could get sprayed back by smack, but it isn't consistent. Like, they have to be kind of looking for it. And they were always above. They were like 500 above for all those surges. So they're absolutely chilling. But anyway, third zone, I think it was second, third zone pulls. And we have so many teams over here. I think there was like 5 teams over here. And that usually means, look at the builds. There's barely any builds here because most of them padded over and landed on one of these 2 sides over here. Now, if it was the pad long enough, you probably would want to end up somewhere over here or even try to find your way onto the mountain would have been nice. But, you might be able to get lobbied if you go here. So it's really, risky. But they pad here. It is a long pad, so that's probably as far as they can get. But most teams are right here. And that just, it's easy. everyone can spray. These guys, you might have a team, one to two teams down here that really need surge, so they're going to start diving into boxes, and then you guys can all start spraying, and it's really, really easy surge, all because you pick this position here, which is, 360 degree. You can't really check out the bridge too much. We can check people entering over here, but it didn't really matter because there was a team based up here, but they can check out like all of this for surge, zone 1, and then as soon as it pulls, he goes in a better position here, and ends up getting all the zones and being absolutely chilling on surge. And when you're chilling like 500 above on surge, you can just strictly focus on rotating. You don't have that panic over 100 below, 200 below. We're gonna have to dive a box, and that barely ever works. So you dive a box and end up losing it or whatever, getting lobby sprayed or whatever happens. So they're able to just save all their mats because they keep pulling zone, get easy surge, and then end up winning the game. So basically, these are like the last few rotates. What they end up doing is that they end up using the crash pads here. So they tunnel over here, hit the crash pads, set up here. I think the blue is a pad, so someone pulls over here, they pad, and then they, this is the next few movements, and they end up winning the game. I'm not going to go into 30 surge because 30 surge is really, you have good surge for 50 and 70, and then you end up finding, a pick somewhere, and then that usually you're good for 30, but I mean, in these stackers, sometimes you need way more. I've seen Twitter pictures where they have 5 kills and they're down on 30. So 30 is really just a gamble. And hopefully this video has helped you guys in, setting up for surge, finding a good position that, enables you to also have a good position for second zone and third zone and fourth zone. So an easy rotate to nearby positions also has to be in mind. Because if we think about Zayt Hill, which was a fine position, they probably ended up being in this mess right here because they were forced to rotate down like that. And if it was the corny team easily could have taken here, look for surge, and then go on. I find surge is hardest to get in first zone because a lot of people are still rotating in. There's fights happening. People that are in the middle of zone are already based up, but you want to be in the middle of first zone so you can be ready for second zone and get in a godly position for second. So hopefully this helps you out. Yeah, have a good one.